Well, good morning. After David's success yesterday in the two swims, one a little bit further downstream and then one in here, which is called the North Bank, we've decided that instead of roving around and sort of spending 45 minutes to an hour in a load of different swims, we're going to concentrate our efforts in here. So earlier on today I wandered around and put 5 droppers of bait in both the swims, a couple of others as well just in case we need them as a bit of a backup, but we had a bit of a toss for it earlier on, and I've got this one, David's got the one downstream, and got to be quiet because they're all sort of, you know, nooks and crannies and really intimate. This one you're only fishing about 5 yards from the bank, so yeah, I feel really good. The river's dropped about 5 or 6 inches overnight, and I've got to be honest, it ain't nowhere near as coloured, so good chance. Well, aside from staying put a little bit more than yesterday, in essence the rig is exactly the same, but where we've had quite a bit of colour drop out of the water, I've just gone from the 15-pound end trap to a 10-pound IQ2 hook link, so fluorocarbon hook link, nice and heavy, stays put on the deck, same end tackle really, to be honest with you, size 12 mixer, 11mm pellet and a nice little stick just for anti-tangle purposes, and obviously loads and loads of scent, but hopefully a little bit more finesse, get me a fish on the bank. Let's get it in. Ooh, good depth as well, and that landed nice and hard. Right, here we go.
Well, here we are, day 2. I'm back in the swim where I caught the first fish from, and a little roach, but it's a lot hotter today. It's been forecast cloud and rain, but I don't know where they are yet, but I think it's going to be a tough one today with this heat, but I've got my ever faithful small pellet, a bit of paste around it, push it in here for about an hour or so, and then have a little walk around and see what else we can get. But first cast of the day, so here goes.
Here we go. Well, that's the first time I've seen my tip wrap round. It was a pretty good bite, but I've got to be honest with you, I'm not a massively experienced angler when it comes to monster barbel. I've had my fair share, but I'm experienced enough to know that this ain't a big fish. But it is a fish, and it's my first one. Oh, it's a chub, nice chub. And chub are my favourite species, bar none. If I could fish for only one fish for the rest of my life. Oh, that is a very big chub actually. Look at the size of the mouth on that. My God, look at the size of the mouth on that. Go on, son, in you go. Come on! Oh, get the net over. That's a good chub for this time of year. Oh, I ain't blanked. I have not blanked. Well, there we go, my first fish of the trip. A scraper 5-pound chub, bit of an old warrior, but they probably only spawned about 3-4 weeks ago, something like that. So come the winter, this will be an absolute stonker. But I didn't really care, to be honest with you, what was going to rip off. I was just desperate for a bite to see that rod tip go around, and I am so glad it did. What a beautiful fish to start the day, and hopefully it's the first of many. Well, one of my mottos on rivers is that time spent preparing a swim is never wasted. Well, I've just put that chub back, lovely fish, just over 5 pound, and because they're not crawling up the rod tip today or yesterday, certainly not yesterday, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit more bait in, probably about 4 or 5 droppers. There's just a mixed pellet in there, ellipse pellet, mixed response pellet, a little bit of crushed down Newgrange boilie, and obviously hemp. What fish don't like hemp? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in. Now I'm going to have a wander downstream and fish a couple of other little swims while I leave it to rest for an hour, just to try and gain their confidence, because generally where there's chub there's barbel. Generally where there's smaller chub, and not that 5-pound chub is a smaller chub, but where there's 5-pound chub there's a good chance there's some really big ones. So you know, and we'd love a really big one, wouldn't we? So, well, this is one of the swims that I put 4 or 5 droppers in earlier on the way back from the one downstream that David's fishing now. We're only going to be fishing literally 4 foot from the bank. There's a tree that's been falling in right the way across the river for the last 2 or 3 seasons, and if it's in for that amount of time, then there'll almost certainly be fish that's taken up residence in there. Hopefully it won't take long, but this is just sort of a 20-minute quick stop. Let's get that. There we go, that'll do. Everything's exactly the same, the fluorocarbon leader, fluorocarbon hook link. Let's just get this off, try and be nice and quiet. I've even got my little stick on ready to go, so there we go, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, another big chub. on my first barbel of the trip would do nicely. Right, be nice and quiet, because if them fish are over the bait already, the last thing I want to do is spook them. But this is, if this goes off, this is going to be hit and hold. There we go. Oh, I've got to hold it out from the trees. Oh, again, I don't think it's a massive fish, but God, dear, oh dear, what a good bite. When you're fishing upstream of them. Oh, God, dear, oh dear, there is in absolute no doubt that that went round. I had one tiny little tap, and then it just went. And there's quite a bit of flow. Oh, it's going upstream, which is a good sign. I think it might be another chub again. Oh, it's another good chub. Oof. Well, we might be unlucky with the barbel, but we've certainly been lucky with the size of the chub we're getting. Wow, look at that. There's a lot of flow just sort of right underneath the rod tip here. And obviously, when they open their mouths, big old rubber lips, that's doing them the world of good. Massive favour to the fish. Not helping me because my nerves and my legs after yesterday's disaster are going 10 to the dozen. But my net is just up here. Here we go. Come on, baby, it's another good fish. Oh, I mean, all sorts. I had the net stuck up the tree. Oh, look at that, just sitting there in the flow. What a beautiful sight. Come on, baby, please don't hook pull. One more fish, going in the net. Go on, drop it down. Come on. I thought I'd lost it yesterday, but I am back. Well, there we go. Second chub of the day. Took me about 45 minutes in the other swim, but only about 10-15 in here, so just goes to show putting 4 or 5 droppers in at the start of the day definitely worked. Beautiful. Hey Davey, how's it going, mate?
Not bad, mate, not bad.
Yeah.
It's a little bit quiet in here, but it just screams barbel.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, you've got an overhanging tree just down there, you've got a couple of overhanging trees just there, and the crease runs right the way across. It's beautiful,
It's
isn't
deep
it?
as well. It's
Yeah.
It's nice bottom, but I've had loads of little twitches and things, and a few pulls, which I think are just little chub, but
Yeah.
nothing.
It's a
nothing
massive,
definite.
I mean, it's a massive roach and dace in here, and you'd be surprised how aggressive little pulls and stuff like
Yeah.
that from them are. Magnified on the tip, innit? But I've got to ask you, mate, I mean, most footballers, when they retire, go into I don't know, snooker, mainly golf.
Yeah.
Fishing, I mean, I get asked it a lot, how I used to be at combined sport and fishing and stuff like that, but I mean, how did you find it?
I was fishing before I retired, so
Yeah.
you know, and I used to go night fishing. As soon as we got a day off from training,
Right.
I would be night fishing.
Really?
Yeah, and I have sometimes turned up straight from night fishing to training.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Did it ever affect your sport? Did you
Obviously,
ever?
I was just tired, like when I was training, you know. But I'd have a word with Bob, my coach, Bob Wilson, and
Yeah.
say, like, just take it easy today. I was out last night.
Did you ever fluke a day off? Did you ever make any excuses? And be honest, hand on heart.
No, you couldn't miss training, mate.
Did you
'Cause,
not?
Like, no, because like if everybody was in, you know, if one was in, we were all in. You know.
Yeah,
Even like after an England game once, we were like trying to sky the next day off, and we'd all agreed not to go in, and then Paul Merson went in.
Oh, you got a fish, mate. You got a fish. Go on. That might be one of those big
No,
roach.
it's not.
Is it not?
No, it's a little roach.
Sorry, man.
I'll
It
leave
kept
that.
going. It was going for
Yeah.
about 5 seconds. I was thinking, great stuff, but honestly, hit that. But I tell you what, yeah, go on, mate.
Yeah, but like with Paul Merson, you know, and he said to, we said, all right, none of us go in, we'll all have the day off. Paul Merson went in, and us 3 got fined.
I did it once, I've got to be honest. I rang up my coach after a really hard session. I said to him, Greg, look, I've got quite a sore calf actually. Do you want me to come down to Crystal Palace and do this hurdle session? Or do you want me to have an extra day off? And he went, no, have an extra day off, right? And I knew this because the River Lee was absolutely perfect. And I went down the River Lee, blanked, next day at training, pulled my calf. So
no.
that was the only one time I did
Yeah.
it, but it was absolutely fun. What about fishing highlights? Because you started off as a carp angler, an avid carp angler. I remember seeing you on numerous different programs, but now you very rarely actually wet a line in Stillwater. It's all running water, rivers and stuff like that.
Well, what happened was I moved to Marlow. You know, I'd done loads of carping, and I love carping.
Right.
You know, I still do it. I love surface fishing for carp. You know, and I love going to gravel pits and finding the gravel bars and all that sort of stuff. But then I started fly fishing, did a little bit of fly fishing.
Right.
Then went into salmon fishing, and then I moved to Marlow, and I was living on the Thames, so you know, it was just the beauty of like with the rivers. You throw it out, you don't really know what you're going to get.
Well, no, I suppose
You know,
on the Thames, big carp, big barbel,
Yeah.
big bream as well.
You know, and I was on the Thames. I had 4 different 30s in a season.
Did you really?
You know, carp and that. You know, and some good, you know, like 29s and 25s below that. But I just love fishing. You know, when I was playing football, I'd go and play golf, and I was supposed to be trying to relax. And I'd walk off the golf course more frustrated than I walked on it, and I was like, this is defeating the object. So then I thought, right, I'll go fishing. And whether you catch or not, you just totally relax. Anyway.
What about fishing highlights? I mean, you mentioned 30s off the Thames. They've got to be high up there.
That is, yeah. I've had a 36.5 carp from an English lake as well. So,
Right, okay.
And I've had a 35-pound catfish. You know, I love catching barbel. My PD barbel's 14.5 out the Thames.
Out the Thames is a very good fish.
Yeah, you know, and I've had a 32 mirror out the Thames. So it's just, you know, just big fish.
Anytime the rod goes round, isn't it?
I know.
Well, David, first Fishing Gurus episode, how was it for you?
It's brilliant. We caught barbel and had a great time.
You caught 2 barbel actually,
Yeah.
mate. And I've got to say, for someone that's never seen this river before, well, you've seen the river before, but not this stretch, I think you've done absolutely fantastic because it has been tough, hasn't it?
It's been tough. It's been clouded and coloured. It's just, yeah, it's been hard. You know, like, and we got the 2 fish yesterday, which was spot on.
2 fish today as well.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I managed a couple of chub. You had your favourite species. I had my favourite species. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate. Let's
Thank
hope it's
you.
not the last time.
Sure
That is
it
it
won't
for
be.
this episode of Fishing Gurus. Don't forget to tune in to the next one. But between now and then, enjoy your fishing.